This is But the Years Are Short, the podcast where mamas who are therapists share real advice for real families. I'm Meagan.
And I'm Katie. And we want to be your front porch community where you can laugh and learn with us about the beautiful, messy, overwhelming, hilarious work of raising kids.
Because the days are long,
but the years are short.
Good morning, Meagan. Good morning, Katie.
Okay, so today we are talking about emotional clutter and detoxing our mental load. Aren't you so excited?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to be super honest, Katie. Like, this topic, you were like, this is what we're going to do a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. What is that? And so it was honestly kind of hilarious. I mean, I think I definitely know what it means. It's probably like the timing it landed too, because I was a little bit emotionally exhausted when it landed. So I was like, what is that? And so, yeah, so like dive in. Let's talk about what is actual emotional exhaustion. How do we define it?
Okay, so I really want to do that. And first, I want to say that this morning I slept 2 hours longer than normal, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I got up and my body is so tired. And I almost texted you, but I was like, I'm going to see her in an hour, so I could probably wait. And it is 100% because I am emotionally exhausted.
Yes.
And so I started to make a list. So this whole thing, right, this emotional clutter concept, right, is okay, so a good question to ask ourselves, right, is like, how often do you feel exhausted? And you can't really point to why. And it's not really that something like big and dramatic is wrong, like not necessarily this big, huge, giant thing, but everything feels heavy. So it's like not really that something like big and loud is, or something really obvious, but it's just like a ton of stuff, like a ton going on, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So before we got going this morning, I started to make a list of the things that right this moment I feel like I'm carrying around, and I didn't get super far, but are you ready?
Let's see it. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So my car right this moment says to me, low fuel, would you like to find a gas station? And I have a tire that perpetually is low. So I can like put air in it, and then the next day it's like, your tire is low. Awesome. I need a budget because after Christmas, I spent too much money. And so now I need a budget. It is also now tax season, and I'm locked out. I'm locked out of my accountant's portal. I can't figure it out.
Tried to get in it.
Yeah, great. It's time, Meagan. It's time. Also, the world feels a little bit like it's on fire, and we might end up in a war. And it depends on who you ask about why. I don't really want to think about it. Who knows?
Yeah. You preparing your garden? Laying it out?
We're gonna get some vegetables going to survive the war. I don't know. And then I called you on Saturday because my kid is having kickboxing drama. And so she comes out of kickboxing and gets in the car and just like dissolves into tears every time because she has gotten her ass kicked. And we have to do like an ice bath after every time because she's like just getting torn up. And so there's all of that happening. And then it's like all this other stuff, right? And so I am just feeling very depleted. So, okay. So if we think about like mental load isn't necessarily like tasks, like the things that I listed, some of them are tasks, but some of them are just, it's like constant background processing.
Yeah.
Of all of the things that you can't really fix. They're just things that are happening that you carry. Like, it's not about adding more stuff or like adding more things to do. It's about clearing space. And like, how exactly do we do that? It's like, so we've talked about in the past, like setting intentions and like all of that stuff. Today is not about like fix your life. It's like, let's breathe and sort out what's weighing us down.
No, I think so. It's so funny because I describe to kids and teens like the emotional clutter is like that static background noise in your head, right? So it's like all those things that are going and going and going that you can't always fix or you can't do, but they feel heavy and exhausting. And so I think like often it's funny because like often for me, I don't even recognize I'm in a place of emotional clutter or like emotionally burnout until I'm doing some of the things that I do.
Like
to
what?
do
Like
that.
what? Like what?
Yeah, it's funny. When I can tell when I'm like emotionally exhausted is I start watching like my favorite shows. And so I'll just like literally only watch them. So right now we've been watching Friends on repeat, right? And I mean on repeat. Like I'm laughing before the line comes because I know every line in the show. Yes, I'm doing those things. I sleep a lot more. And I like
Good.
withdraw. I like am like, I'm done. I can't do any more social things. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. I'll text you back in 4 days. And so I think when I started seeing those things start to happen, I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit emotionally exhausted. Like, let's figure this out. And I think to me, the figuring out, like you said, I'm not going to solve the world's problems. So there's a lot of them, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't do anything to touch those right now in big ways. I'm not going to even maybe solve some of my kids' problems that feel emotionally heavy.
Yeah.
But like, how do I take an inventory and understand where I'm at to really then like focus? I think that idea that locus of control, like how do I refocus that onto the things that I can control in some ways and feel agency and movement in that helps me. I don't know. What are the things that you do, Katie?
Good. You were talking about Friends. Okay, so yesterday I was like, okay, I woke up and I had a cup of coffee. And then I was like, my nervous system is like, it's just jumpy, right? Like, I just feel like I can't sit still, even though I desperately all week was just wanting a slow morning. And then it was Sunday morning and I like could not sit still. Like I just felt like unsettled, right? And so I found myself doing the things that I do when I feel that way, which is like I listen to classical piano, which is like super not me when I'm in a different spot. I normally listen to like pop or like alternative from the 2000s.
Yes,
I'm
you're
listening
rolling.
I'm listening to like classical piano. I'm in the floor stretching. I'm journaling for a really long time. I work out and that's really helpful. Yeah, I'm quick to tears. Quick to tears when I'm emotionally exhausted about things that don't matter. Like about things that just are not a big deal. And so yesterday was good because my kiddos left and went to their dad's in the morning and so the dog goes with them. And so I got up yesterday morning and there was no dog to like lick me in the face and
You were
wake
so
me up.
excited, weren't you?
I was actually like, normally I'm like, haha, I can stay in bed for 2 more minutes. I was real sad that there was no dog and there was no kids. And usually the first couple of days I'm like, I get to be all by myself for a couple of days.
Yeah.
No, I was real sad. I was real sad. So anyway, I think like if we boil down like emotional clutter, there's some things that I think may speak to people about what is this actually. Okay.
Okay.
So it's unprocessed feelings. It's like lingering guilt that you don't know what to do with, old expectations about what you should be doing, what you should be able to carry, what you should be able to accomplish, carrying emotions, other people's emotions, particularly our kids or our spouses,
Yeah.
right? Or our partners. So if they're having a tough day or a tough season, trying to make sure everybody's okay all the time emotionally, then like really it can't be our job to keep everybody okay all the time.
Yeah.
Everyone has to be in charge of their own feelings.
I think that's really hard too when we talk about like kids though. When we especially like littler kids, right? And like learning how to do that, I think can be a big thing for sure.
Say more about that.
Okay, so I feel like when our kiddos are little, like and specifically like toddler age, so like 2 to 4, their emotions are so big. And part of our job as parents is to help organize those emotions, right? So we spend a lot of time and energy understanding and organizing and attuning to them. And then knowing, I think, when our kids can do it, right? Like when they are capable of holding it. I think sometimes it could be hard. I know I was very lucky because I learned how to do parenting while I was a parent of young children. And so I think I know my own tendency is to like be able to overhold my kids' emotions. But because I was learning how to do this so much, I caught my tendency to like, nope, they're capable. They can do it. My job looks different at this age. So like at school age. But I think it can be hard to always know when it is my job to organize, but it is not my job to make it my emotions.
Okay. So when you say organize, help them organize feelings, what does that mean? So for example, right, let's say you have like a 6-year-old, right? Who like comes home from school, they had a hard day, they like somebody called them a mean name or something like that, and they're really sad. So so I think what we're saying is, or they've had a string of bad days, right? And so
Yeah.
rather than it meaning that you have to be, so what's the difference, Meagan, like between helping them organize their feelings and you taking on all those feelings for them and fixing it?
Yeah. So the difference is going to be in organizing, we are going to name the feelings. We are going to empathize with our kiddos. We are going to give them coping skills. We're going to hold them, right? Those are going to be the big pieces of organizing. The idea of it's not going to become my feeling or my world's not going to shift because of it is like, I'm not then going to be sad because they're sad. I'm not then going to change the whole family routine because they're sad. I am not going to fix the problem by doing all the things because they are sad. Their sad doesn't become my sad. And so I think we can be upset for our kids, but like we have to know. So I think here's a piece is like that I think is really, really important is in all the anxiety research. I mean, we have so many anxious kiddos and parents now. Just look at the news. We know why. It's crazy. But I think a big piece of the anxiety research that's coming out is that our kids have to know we think they're capable. And so what that means is like if my kiddo has 3 or 4 bad days and I'm saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, baby. It's so bad. I will fix it. I will do the things." Well, unintentionally, we're telling our kids, "I don't think you're capable of doing that." And so the difference is like, "I'm so sorry you had a bad day. Your friends were so rotten. I know that you know how to make a good friend. What can mom do to help?" Right? So that's really different in how we're saying that. And that idea of our kids knowing we believe they're capable is a really, really important. And to me, that's a big difference in organizing kiddos' emotions and making them mine.
Yeah. While like it doesn't make us sad, it doesn't change our whole world. I think that we're always going to empathize with our kids and it is going to be impactful, right? So
Yes.
obviously. So when I was talking earlier about my kiddo is like getting just pummeled in kickboxing, right? Like that is super hard for me. So she is 13 and it is really hard for her to get in the car, be like, that was scary. My body hurts. I am getting hurt, right? Like, and it feels the same as like if your kid comes home from daycare and they're getting bitten, or if they come home and they like from school and they got hit, right? And they're little. It's the same thing. It's like your defensive things flare up. You're going to have feelings about that. And so if you don't know what to do with it, it becomes emotional clutter.
Yes.
Right. And so I think
that's one of the reasons we do stuff, right? That's one of the reasons it's hard as a parent to not step in and do the things because doing something does feel productive. It does help move us. And so I do think that's to me, this is super helpful and important conversation we have because it actually protects our kids in so many ways if we can recognize it.
Yeah. So I think the thing is like, what do we do with it? Right. Like, because doing something is really important, both for our nervous system to like get that need to act out. Because that really is important. So I think what you're saying is empower the kid at an age appropriate level.
Yes.
Right. And so, and that's exactly like when I called you on Saturday, that's exactly what you told me to do because I was like, okay, I'm feeling defensive for my kid. I don't know what the level of response is that is appropriate here based on this setting. And again, like you and I talk a lot about how important community is and to be able to call like a friend for support and to bounce things off of. And that's, exactly what we did in the moment. But yeah, and so thankfully, like, that piece, while it's living in a place in my brain as part of this like emotional clutter, it's not the biggest thing, because I have now, like, I've talked to her about like how to handle having a conversation with her coach, how to like set up the next class ahead of time, and then like what we're going to do moving forward. So I did something about it, and I didn't like, go stomping in there and,
Kill out the 19-year-old coach.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
hand his ass to him, which is kind of what I wanted to do, which is my first impulse, right? Because I'm a little
Yep.
overprotective. But I do think like, if we think of mental load, right? When it's becoming too big, the things that we're carrying around are things that are not our job sometimes, right? Some things to look out
Yes.
for. So let me know what you think about this. Trying to anticipate everyone's needs, which is not our job. Remembering everything all the time,
Yep.
decision fatigue, the emotional labor of managing everyone's moods, smoothing transitions all the time, and holding big family systems together, right? So like in-laws, grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, like facilitating all of that.
Yeah.
All of this like invisible work, right? Like there's just a lot there, right? So it's not, I don't think it's about like whether you're capable. It's more about like capacity.
Yeah. Well, and I think like the other piece of, like you said, some of those things are just not our jobs in a healthy way,
Yeah.
right? Like managing everyone's moods or anticipating everyone's needs. Like that is a ton of work. And what is our system losing if we're always doing those things?
Ooh, I didn't think about that. Can you say more words?
Yeah. Okay. So I think like if I am, and I think this hits home because I was notorious for doing this until I got into therapy and got pretty healthy, much better. But like if I'm always anticipating everyone's needs in the house and I'm always making sure everyone's happy and content, I think people are losing a couple things, right? Where people are losing the ability to advocate for themselves and communicate and learn their needs, right? So they're like they have to learn their needs. They have to learn how to advocate for their needs. And if I'm always being unmindful of making sure that everyone's happy and content and things like that in the home, I think we're losing frustration tolerance to a level, and we're losing the ability to learn how to navigate conflict in healthy ways, big or little, right? And so I think those are some things that our systems lose when we feel like it's our job to do those things.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Yeah, that's really, really good.
And by system, I mean your family system. So, like, we use that word, obviously, because that's, like, small talk. But, like, that's what I mean. Like, your family is losing some of those things when we choose to make it our emotional problem. And I was the queen of making it my emotional problem for way too long. So I get that.
No, I think that's really good. I think that's good. And kind of a therapist shorthand for that is like codepending, right?
Yep.
Thank you. You and I both lean that direction.
Yep.
It's like, let's make sure everybody else is okay.
Yeah.
But again, it serves our children and our families better if people learn how to tolerate their discomfort.
And communicate what they need.
So I think a couple things to keep in mind that we find, right, in our practice, and I think that research finds, right, is that higher functioning people often carry more clutter, more emotional clutter. And that strong, capable parents don't often notice the weight until we're at kind of the burnout point, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, until we have friends on repeat, until
On repeat.
I'm in the floor stretching.
Or crying at car commercials. That's another one.
Okay, that's a good
Car
one.
commercials. Yeah.
Yeah,
For some reason, they get me.
that's very random.
Mm-hmm.
Or the I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Or the like getting sick and completely down and out for days.
On
Like,
end.
yeah,
Your
it's not-
body's like,
it's-
finally, we're done. I'm out.
We're done. We're all done. I have told you this before. When I get to that place, I have these like fantasies of getting on I-5, which goes from Canada to Mexico,
Just driving.
and just driving and just seeing how far I can get. and seeing what happens just by myself. I'm not taking anybody with me.
No. Yeah.
And it's not because I don't love my family or my life, because I do, but it's like if I just go by myself, no one will know where I am, and no
Well,
one
and
will
I
need
just think the
anything from me.
exhaustion, right? It's like, it's the level of tasks that we prepare because of our loved ones, right? Because that's like the cue for me is like the level of tasks for I'm like, I just want to get away from these people. Then I'm like, what am I overdoing? Like, what am I
Yeah.
doing that I don't need to be doing here? And I think that is helpful.
Yeah, to kind of reframe. So, and I think like
Mhm.
needing a reset doesn't mean we're failing. It
Absolutely not.
just means we've been carrying too much for too long.
Yeah.
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 So obviously, this is not about like, let's throw it all out and start over, which is like when you hit that point, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Throw it away. I'm getting in the car. See ya.
Done. Yep. I'm quitting. You can ask, like, when I get emotionally exhausted, I typically come into the office and, like, I'm quitting.
Yes.
I'm never going to be a therapist again. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to own paddleboard business. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. You do say
I do.
that.
I cry typically on case couch. And then the next day I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But
sometimes
it's
it
all
takes a
the
couple
things.
days.
Yeah.
It takes a
But it's
couple days.
all the things, right?
Yeah, it's everything. It's
Mhm.
everything. Okay, so if it's not about throw it all out, start over, or like radical reorganization of everything or anything like that, like, so what does it become about?
Yeah. I think it becomes about, for me, it becomes about like taking an inventory, doing with the pieces things that I can do, and praying and giving the pieces up that I can't do anything about for mentally. And then I think the other piece that's like really helpful for me is like when I do get emotionally exhausted, I get out of routine. So like Katie says, like you notice like you dive into your routine like 10 times harder. I'm like, nope, nothing matters. Just gonna watch Friends laying in my bed. And so for me, it's getting back into a routine. So getting back to working out, getting back to reaching out to the people I love. Like I think that is very helpful for me once I start getting when I recognize that I'm emotionally exhausted.
Yeah, that's really helpful. So that inventory piece, I love, and then what that looks like. So what are the pieces that I'm doing? What are the roles that I'm playing? And
Yeah.
are all of those necessary? Can I put any of them down? What portions of them can I put down? Which ones are serving my core values?
Mm.
Which ones have I overcommitted to? And then letting some things be unfinished, right? So, and I'm stealing this from a friend of mine, but this idea that like put that basketball on the shelf for now. So it doesn't mean that it's gone forever. It just is like, can we set it down for now? Pick it
Yeah.
back up when you're ready. And what we're doing is creating emotional margin so that like when something comes up, you have room for it. You have room for it
Yeah.
to handle it and move through it. And, it doesn't wreck you or like, send you to the couch or to watching Friends or laying in the floor listening to classical piano.
Yeah. I think so. I would say that the questions I ask myself to help me identify, you mentioned kind of yours. I say, like, okay, what am I running through my head over and over again? Like, what scenario or situation am I just like running through my head that I'm like either playing an end to or whatever like that? Do I show up that I don't feel like I can be the most authentic version of myself? Right. And that doesn't mean that I can't show up there again, but that just helps me recognize like, oh, this is obviously a little bit more emotionally taxing or mentally taxing than I realize. And then in what areas do I recognize my body starts getting tight? Clenching my jaw, shoulders tight, right? All those pieces. Those are the questions that kind of live in my head as I'm figuring this out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's helpful because it's like paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like paying attention to your body and letting that be a signal to you. So, okay, so some tools, right? So let's lay out, and we have 4 tools for moving through this. So the first one is that emotional inventory. 2 questions to ask. What's been sitting with me that I haven't processed? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like my running through your head thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Look at this. I'm on it. I didn't even know it.
Okay, the second one. What am I holding on to out of habit, not necessity? Okay, so this may be something like there's a thing that I do either for work or in my life that I do that I don't have to do. And so just sit down, kind of write these things out, journal them out, spend, maybe 5-10 minutes on each one, and you'll be surprised what you come up with. Okay.
Mhm.
Tool number 2, close the open tabs. Right. So these are the tabs that are open in your brain that just stay open all the time because we
Yes.
haven't gone back to close them out. So identify one of these 3 things. Okay. So one unresolved conversation. This is like, something that's been open that you feel like, oh, I never really landed the plane there. That doesn't feel great. One lingering decision, something that has been, oh yeah, I have like 3 different trips I need to book a hotel for. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lingering decisions. Okay. So one unresolved conversation, one lingering decision, or one expectation that needs updating or releasing. So if you're holding yourself to an expectation that needs to be released or it needs to be updated. So, right, if we have leftover resolutions that are too rigid, now would be the time to update it. So if it
Yes.
was, I am going to work out 5 days a week, maybe that needs to shift to, I'm going to be intentionally active. Okay, tool number 3.
Hold on, I'm going to pause on that one because I
Do
want to add something that I think is really helpful. When we're closing the tabs, I think it's really helpful to do either a visual in your head of like taking that basketball, put it on the shelf, or telling yourself. Like, so like when I'm a listener, I have to hear things. And so like when I'm running in my head, like even in sessions, right? Some days it's like the tab is running and I like whisper to myself, you are going to close that and think about it later. Right. And so like we have to, I think it can be really helpful to doing something when we're doing that, whether it be a visual or like saying to yourself or writing it down, like we will think about this later, because it sparks our mind. Language is powerful. Also like it sparks our mind to help us do that.
Yeah, and I'm super visual, and so I live my life in my planner. So it's really helpful for me to move that to a later date so that I know I can take it out of my brain because it's been accounted for somewhere else. Okay, so tool number 3, name the invisible load.
Yes.
So again, like with a planner or a journal or something like that, write down everything you're mentally tracking so that you don't have to continue to hold it in your brain.
Yeah.
And then share that list with your partner or your co-parent, even if they don't fix it, or with a friend. Just so they, you have some support in that and somebody can see you.
I think that's good.
All right. So tool number 4 is the last one. You give yourself permission slips. And so permission to, and these are like, metaphorical permission slips. I mean, you can write them if you want. That might be fun. You have permission to rest without earning it. You just have permission to rest. If you feel tired, rest. You have permission to disappoint people. People do not have the right to demand things of you. You have a right to say what is correct for you in a moment. And so you have permission to say no, regardless of how that's going to make other people feel. And you have permission to do things well enough rather than perfectly.
Yes. Good enough. That's what we're going for here.
Yeah. All right. So kind of in closing out today, I would kind of challenge us, maybe Meagan. Meagan, I'm going to ask you.
Okay. I'm ready.
What is one thing you could set down, even temporarily, like putting the basketball on the shelf?
Good. Okay. Oh, I got a good one. And it's been living in my brain a while. It's that time of year, right? Our kids are getting ready for next year's school. So we're registering and doing all the things. And I'm feeling an extra pressure to pressure my children to be involved in like groups and organizations because they're in very big schools. And I've done all the things. We've went to all the meetings. They know all the things. And so I'm louder conversation because I'm going to put it down. And so just trusting them to make a decision with a known expectation. And I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going, yeah, this is good. Yeah. What about you, Katie? What are you going to
Nice. I always ask questions and like don't have my own answer ready. I feel like I should have a visual on the next 3 months. Like I should have it in my brain, it mapped out. Like on a, like I feel like I should have a really excellent visual of how exactly the next 90 days is going to go. And I think that I need to put that down and be able to just live in the next week at a time and like just be able to be present rather than like that's what I would like to be able to do because I'm feeling anxious about the next quarter.
Yeah.
And I think I probably, rather than trying to control it, I want to, and I'm glad we had this conversation because I don't think the answer is get more control over it. I think the answer is just breathe and like do kind of day by day, week by week. I think that's the answer.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. So I think the thing to take away, right, are tools, and we'll put them in the show notes, are the tools, right? So take your emotional inventory, close your open tabs, name your invisible load, and give yourself permission, to rest, disappoint people, function well enough. And just know that awareness is already a mini detox. And if you're feeling like everything is heavy, it doesn't mean you're doing life wrong. It just means you've been carrying more than your share for a long time.
So maybe this week, instead of asking, what should I do next? You ask, what can I set down? And if that's all you do, that's enough. This week, we're wishing you dishes that wash themselves, kids that go to bed the first time, and shoes that stay tied. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Our music is by Stephen Bedall. If you're loving these conversations, we'd be so grateful if you followed the podcast, left a review, or shared this episode with a friend. That's how we grow this little front porch community. And remember, the days are long,
but the years are short. While we often talk about mental health, this should not be used as a substitute for mental health treatment. If you or your child are struggling, please reach out to a local provider.